welcome to another episode of Obsidian Extra Lives, the only show that I'm aware of where you get to hang out with the developer, talk about their job, ask them some questions, and play video games weekly. So, I mean, that's kind of a big deal, right?
Oh, I think so.
I think so, too. I'm your host, player sports specialist Chris Stanick, and I'm joined by our special guest, Talia Law. Oh, my God, it was a name that I know and I could do, and I totally fudged it still.
It's fine.
No, it's not. We just talked about this.
It's been butchered worse, trust me.
But I just put them together. Talia Law, a technical animator intern. Well, no longer, or soon not to be.
Yeah, after Friday, starting Monday.
That's exciting.
Yeah, assistant.
So we're going to hang out with Talia. We're going to play some Cult of the Lamb. We're going to ask her about what she does here, video games. Talia, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Talia. I'm 19 and I never learned how to read. No, I am 23. That's a weird thought. But yeah, I am a technical animator. I went to college at Chico. Before that, though, I did go to community college. So yeah, transferred out to Chico. And then that was about when I discovered I wanted to be in games. And I discovered that I wanted to be a technical animator, or just technical artist in general, basically the last semester of college. So yeah.
Better late than never.
Better late than never. I'm glad I found it too. I'd love to do it.
Also, you took half of my questions
Oh, I'm sorry.
in one fail swoop. So it's going to be a really short stream. No, I'm just joking. So what made you want to play Cult of the Lamb today?
It came out on, I believe, August 11th, and I kind of just fell in love immediately. I'd been kind of watching it for a bit because I saw that I saw the demos and whatnot, and I was like, well, that seems right up my alley because I love cartoons, I love cute stuff, and I especially love cute stuff that is actually kind of horror-based because I like to run, I don't know if anybody's heard of it, it's a TTRPG of Call of Cthulhu. It's not as popular as Dungeons & Dragons, but it's kind of a similar system just with a couple different dice. But it's very much so cosmic horror themed. And because I like cute things and I also like cosmic horror, this is just kind of that cute little package of terrifying nonsense that kind of just perfectly fits me.
It's totally that thing. Do you also like the genre mashup?
I do like the genre mashup. I am not very combat based as a player, but this game makes combat feel really, really good. And I do like the dungeon runs and how you do have to come back to your cult to manage them. Otherwise, you won't have any power because the more that your cult grows, the more powerful you are. I actually have a very large cult in my personal file right now, and it makes dungeon runs a heck of a lot easier.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you went to community college first. Is that just because you weren't sure what you wanted to do, or you wanted to kind of save money on schooling and just do your basic stuff and then get your focus?
I'd like to say I thought that far ahead, but for the most part, it was actually because no other college would take me.
Okay.
And my high school actually had a agreement with my local community college where if you graduated from that high school, or there was, I believe, one other high school in my district, that you could get a scholarship that would allow you to go, I believe it was 2 years free to community college. So figured might as well just go there since the places that I wanted to go in the first place didn't take me, and save some money, and then I can transfer out because that community college also had an agreement with some of the CSUs and UCIs where if you completed a certain amount of stuff for your major or whatever you're going to transfer out into, you could just transfer out without having to worry about the whole admission process and whatnot. So I ended up going to a different school that I originally applied to, and I'm kind of glad I went to Chico instead because it had the major that I wanted instead of just the campus that I wanted.
Nice.
Yeah.
I appreciate your candidness for saying that too, because a lot of people will be like, oh yeah, I just wanted, go
Save
with what
money,
kind of
yeah.
suggested. Yeah, but the fact that you were like, I just didn't get into what I wanted, I mean, I think it illustrates that there's more than one path to get somewhere. So you said after you were in school and you're like, oh, I wanted to work in games or anything. Was there a specific moment or time or something that happened with games that you were like, yeah, I want to work with games. This is totally what I'm doing?
Actually, I kind of feel like I'm a little bit of an odd one out in the industry at that I don't know what words are, but like with regards to that, because I actually didn't play games that much until very recently. Like I like to watch people play games, but I just personally didn't have the time for it because I was going to school and I was doing college, and then I also was working either 1 to 2 part-time jobs at any given time at the same time I was doing that. So I didn't really have much time to myself between homework and everything else. But once I hit high school, I kind of, well, okay, a little bit background.
Okay.
I moved from Arizona to California at the start of high school. So like a whole new state. I had spent the majority of my life in Arizona, either in Flagstaff or Phoenix or anything, but this was my first time going out of that state without having to visit family. And so in high school, I obviously didn't know anybody. And when that happened, I made some friends who maybe were like a little bit on the outskirts as well. We grew very close, and they helped me come out of my shell. And they also just so happened to be interested in video games.
Okay.
And so that kind of influenced me. Is like I was around these people who were talking about video games so much, and while I didn't play it on my own, I would play with them sometimes. And then when I hit college, I was like, well, all my friends are going into video games, and at that point, I had been doing digital art for about 7 years. So I was like, well, I might as well go in and see what I can do with that, because now it's a familiar concept to me that is a viable path to go into video games. And it sounds like something that I would want to do. And so I thought, I'm going to become an animator. And then I got to college and I was like, I don't like animating. So that was scrapped. But I kind of like to for lack of a better word, I like to dip my fingers into everything that I can learn. Like once I find myself interested in something, I'm like, well, I want to know a little bit of everything about it. So I took 3D modeling classes. Originally, I started with programming because I was originally a computer science major in order to get all my undergrad stuff out of the way so I could go to Chico.
So you were doing MS Paint and stuff as digital art?
Not MS Paint,
I mean, but like...
yeah, IBIS Paint, which is it's a mobile app. And then also Paint Tool Sci, because the way I got into digital art is a little bit embarrassing, but I saw a YouTube video about like a speed paint about one of my favorite YouTubers at the time, and I was like, man, what's a speed paint? So I looked into it, and I was like, whoa, this is like super interesting. I want to learn how to do that. So I got the free trial of Paint Tool Sci, and I just kind of like poured over every single one of her speed paints to see like what tools they were using and how they achieved a certain like effect or whatever. I actually have a bunch of speed paints up on an old channel that are now privated. Don't try and look for them.
I was just about to ask, can we get that link? I want to see some speed paints.
Absolutely not. They're unlisted. But yeah, I kind of just taught myself like that, and then I went on a very big like art streak through high school, and then once I hit college, it died down a little bit because I was working on other stuff. But I really liked programming, I found, as I was taking those classes. And then I took a 3D modeling class, and I was like, man, this is cool. But I think I would get bored with just the modeling, and sometimes it makes me angry. And then, yep, animating just wasn't doing it for me. And I was like, I don't want to only be a programmer. And I was kind of getting worried. I was like, is there no niche for me? And I was getting to my senior year, and I still hadn't decided exactly what I wanted to do because my original plan was scrapped. And then I was going to be a previs artist, but that kind of also got scrapped. And then COVID hit, and a bunch of stuff happened. I tried to be a concept artist and found out it killed my soul.
So previs is a concept artist?
Kind of.
Okay.
Previs is kind of like a cross between a concept artist and also an animator, I want to say, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, they animate like little bits of shots and stuff like that to like make the sequence that people can refer to put the shots in, like the final shots in order.
Okay.
Is the best way I can think to explain it right now. But that was originally what I wanted to do. Yeah, I am. But yeah, I found that wasn't really for me either. And then I took a rigging class.
A what class?
A rigging class.
A rigging, okay.
Yeah.
Yep, so we're in skeletons now.
Yeah, we're in skeletons, which I didn't know was a thing until I took the class. And I was taking it and I was like, man, I really like this. This is like the perfect combination of animation, which is what I originally God dang it. What I originally wanted to do, and also coding, which I found out was one of my passions. And everybody else in the class was complaining about it, and I was like, "What's your guys' problem? This is a lot of fun." Yeah. And so I was like, "Well, I guess that's a pretty good signal that I'm on the right track here."
Yeah.
So I just kind of did some digging, and then again started to teach myself. I met somebody who I was lucky enough, liked me enough to give me a little bit more guidance.
So a good mentor.
Yeah, a good mentor. And I still talk to him to this day, every Wednesday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And he helped. Hello? Oh,
Hello.
there we go.
He's culting. He's like, ooh.
he's praying. But yeah, and yeah, he gave me a little bit of guidance and was like, here, because the way I learn best is like, give me like a task to do, you know, and I will do it. And it basically just point me in a direction and I'll just steamroll ahead.
So you kind of found the same thing like Amy, the balance between programming, like your one side of your brain, and then your artistic. Let's go, worms. Ooh,
Ooh, wormies.
These are bad.
Is this the first intern stream where there's been more than one bug?
I think so.
All right.
But it's because Morrow is an amazing person and loves to support charity, but also makes me eat bugs. But yeah, so you kind of had this, the logical side, the programming, and the technical. I mean, the logical and the technical side. The creative side with the rigging and animation stuff, right?
Yeah.
So what is it about rigging and like early animation? Why is it more tolerable / enjoyable to you than like full-on animation, like making that little buddy of ours dance and do fun things? Don't you want to make him dance and be like, and then when he runs, he's angry eyes, like squinting down.
I mean,
he does an anime run. Look at that.
He does, yeah. I mean, it's not that I mind animation. I've animated a couple things just for myself, but it's more the fact where it's like, animation can be so subjective. There's no like set rules to it. You know what I mean? And while that's great in some aspects, in other aspects, it's like I never know when something is good enough. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because I can't. My brain doesn't work that way. I can't tell. And so I'll get stuck on something and be like, this sucks. I hate the way it looks. You know? And so I'll keep working on it, and it's never gonna be right. Whereas with technical art, there's a little bit more of like structure to it, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like I think maybe you're looking at like guidelines or rules to kind of follow, because like it's the foundation of what the animation will be. So essentially, it can't go past X or Y because that's not what that thing would do. Exactly.
It's like if it doesn't look good because it went past a certain pose that is never going to be done anyway, that's okay. It doesn't have to be completely perfect on every frame. But it just has to look good for the things that it needs to be done for.
Okay. So besides the frame and like some programming to kind of get the rig to work how you want, what other things are you doing as a technical animator?
So right now I'm doing a lot of skinning for clothes and whatnot. And what skinning is basically like, gosh, I don't know how. Give me a second. Okay. So skinning is like, so the 3D modeler makes the model, right? And the model can move, or the model is made in like a T pose or an A pose. And we also have the skeleton for it, so we have the rig. But when you move like the arm of the rig, something at the hip just goes woo, off into space. So that skinning is basically making sure, in the best of terms that I can think of, making sure that the skin fits the skeleton perfectly, or as perfect as you can get it.
Okay.
So that when you move this part of the rig, this arm goes like this, and the shoulder doesn't like pop or anything like that. It's only moving this part. Or when you move the shoulder, only this part moves. And same with the clothes. Is like when you skin the clothes to fit the body. Let me put a sermon here real quick. Sometimes you can see like the folds of it go like this. So it doesn't have to be like completely flush. There can be like a little bit of give there, but it needs to look like actual clothes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when I'm playing a game sometimes and I move and a piece of me, or like it feels like a few vertices of me just like pop off and go crazy, that means the skinning
That's
had
a skinning
issues?
issue,
Okay,
yeah.
interesting.
Because it's basically applying weight to the vertices there. So when you say, I want the weight on this vertice to touch, say like you're wearing pants, right? And you want the vertices on the pants to only be attached to the legs as you weight them to the legs. So they can have a weight from 0 to 1, but anything past 1 will cause issues.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but what that means is that you can split up the weight on any of these vertices to be any amount of
a weight to up to 1?
Up to 1, yes.
Okay,
so you
interesting.
can have like 0.5 on one, 0.5 on another, or like 0.3 something or other, whatever. And then just the rest is on another, or split between 4 or 5. As long as all of those weights add up to 1, it's fine.
So there's the thinking part. And I'm like, oh man, are you serious? Wow. Technology, it's great. Because I'm like, oh man, how many different ways could I get to 1? Like,
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot.
And then I imagine the more vertices you have, the more like complicated or processing, resource heavy that asset is.
Absolutely.
So then you're finding a balance of what you're looking for as far as how it should function as to being like just like ultra realistic, right? Because there's so much. You couldn't have. I mean, maybe certain characters or things have more in them because they're more pertinent or important to the thing.
Yeah.
But not everything has that same level of detail.
Exactly. It's like you got to pick and choose what you want to focus on, which is which is kind of what I'm learning now with experience. And experience really is the biggest thing I've noticed out of this internship that I need, because everything else will come with time. As long as you open your mind and you're open to learning and whatnot, you can always learn the skills. But it's experience that matters the most, because then it gives you like knowing like, oh, well, if this isn't working, this is probably why, you know, or saying like, oh, well, I've been spending too much time on this particular thing. I should probably move on to another thing because it's a good happy medium. And happy medium is like the best way I can find to describe like, just like what you have to find as a technical artist, because it can't ever, it's probably not going to be perfect.
No.
You just have to make sure that it looks as good as it possibly can.
So speaking of your experience and stuff, and now that you're in this internship, when you first applied to it, did you have any expectations going into it?
I'm going to be completely honest. I thought I blew the interview.
Did you?
Yes.
Do you care to go into details about it, or?
I can, yeah.
Okay.
It's because, so Fallout New Vegas, hi Richard, yes I know you're listening. I have a lot of friends who are Fallout New Vegas buffs, for sure. So I've heard a lot about it, but I've never played it myself. The only Fallout game that I've ever played myself was Fallout 4.
Okay.
And during my interview, I kept accidentally calling Fallout New Vegas Fallout 4. And then I caught myself like halfway through, and I was like, well, that's me done. Absolutely not getting this.
But I can see how that could go in your head during that.
Yeah.
Nobody was like, oh, yeah, you know, that's not that one. But
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that isn't technically wrong, because there's 1, 2, 3, and New Vegas, which would be 4.
Hey, yeah.
You get the email.
Yes.
You call.
Yes.
How does it go? Because like I got a call, and I was like cursing, elated, happy, relieved, all at once.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's terrifying, because like at the same time they're saying it's not bad news. They don't. They
didn't say it was the end.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, right? They were.
So I was like, well, what if they're calling me to tell me they don't want me?
But we like you. We just don't want you this time.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that is kind of vague. Like you, and especially when you're in that headspace, you're right. You're like, it's not bad news, but you're like, oh God, but it didn't say I got it.
Yeah, it's like they didn't say that. Yeah, Yeah, it was scary for sure, but like in a good way, where you're like, is this finally it? Is this
Thank you, Sam.
Oh, thank you so much. Like, is this the
Thanks,
moment where I get into the industry and get my foot in the door and whatnot?
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just a very brief call, being like, congratulations, we'll give you more information, as time goes on. And I was like, all right, well, there we go, I guess. That's it.
And then, so now we're going to swing back to expectations, because that went from you calling Fallout New Vegas Fallout 4 to you literally getting the email about potentially good news, but you're not being like, I'm not in the headspace list, I'll just deal with this later.
Yeah, well, dude, I was half asleep. I was like, this is from Obsidian. Okay.
You're like, hey, I don't work for you yet, okay? I'm sleeping in.
It wasn't that. It was more like, if I read this right now, I'm going to throw up.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll just like give it a couple minutes, like close my eyes for a bit longer and then respond.
That's fair. You started as an intern, technical animator.
Yes.
Now you are a associate/junior technical animator, or just technical animator?
Assistant technical
Assistant
animator.
technical
yes.
animator.
And then the next step is associate.
Okay. What is your end game in the game industry? Like, what would be your end, like, you're just like, this is what I want to do or develop into? Like, because as you know, we're, as a company, are pretty open to that stuff. Like, if you want to pursue something, you can pursue it and learn it and then do it. So is there anything, other aspects of development or production or communication, stuff like that we do that you're interested in? Or you're just like, this is the path for now?
This is the path for now, but I do want to learn more about Unreal and see if I can't make some more like neat little tools for it, because it's a little hard to keep up at the moment, because I did work a little bit on Unreal before I got into here. In fact, I'm fairly certain that's what helped me get the internship, is because I had experience in Unreal, because what I was doing was I rigged and skinned and like I took a model off the internet, I rigged it, I skinned it, I animated it, and then I brought it into Unreal as like a playable character and applied all the blueprints and everything to it. So I had some experience, but now it's Unreal 5, so all that experience is like boop, out the window.
Yeah. That's a bummer.
And I do want to learn more about it, because as I was doing it, it was a lot of fun.
So that's going to do it for us and another episode of Obsidian Extra Lives.
Oh no.
Thank you for all the donations today. We ate a lot of bugs, played a lot of games. We almost made Amaro eat poop.
Oh, we did make Amaro.
Oh, we did?
Poop. Yeah,
we did? All right, we got it in time.
You're welcome, Amaro.
Yeah. Enjoy that bowl of poop, buddy. Talia, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
congratulations on getting the job.
Thank you.
And we hope to have you on again.
I hope to be on again. This
and then
is
maybe
fun.
we can talk about more specifics one day.
One day, hopefully soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you again, Talia. Thank you for the donations. And we will see you all next time. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.